Level 0. The homebuyer. You walk through the front door of a house you will never live in. Saturday afternoon. Open house. The floors are staged, the countertops are clean, and there is a candle burning in the kitchen that smells like vanilla and new beginnings. You touch the granite. You look at the ceiling light. You imagine your couch against that wall, your coffee on that counter. This is how most people look at property. As a life. As a feeling. You are 27 years old. You make $71,000. You have $38,400 in savings. And somewhere in the last 6 months, you stopped asking, where do I want to live, and started asking a different question. Can this building pay for itself? Not do I love it. Not can I see myself here. Can the rent cover the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, and still leave something behind? That question changes everything. Because the question itself is a different operating system. You are no longer shopping for a home. You are underwriting an asset. Level 1. Your first rental. You close on a 2-bedroom duplex 40 minutes from your apartment. Purchase price, $187,000. Down payment, $37,400. 30-year fixed at 6.8%. Your monthly mortgage payment is $976. You rent the upper unit for $1,350. On paper, you are making $374 a month. On paper. You sit at your kitchen table on a Tuesday night with a spreadsheet open and start filling in the columns you forgot. Property tax, $196 a month. Insurance, $118. Maintenance reserve, $156 a month. Vacancy allowance, $112. The real number is not $374. The real number is negative $208 before anything breaks. You stare at the spreadsheet. The math is the math. Rent minus mortgage is not cash flow. Cash flow is what remains after every cost that will eventually arrive has been given a monthly seat at the table. Most of those costs are invisible until they are not. You are not losing money. Not yet. But you are not making what you thought you were making. The distance between those two facts is where most first-time landlords live for years. Level 2. The first repair. 8 months in. 11:14 p.m. on a Wednesday. Your phone rings. The tenant upstairs says there is water on the basement floor. You drive 40 minutes in sweatpants. You crouch beside the water heater with your phone flashlight and watch a slow, steady stream pooling on concrete. The plumber comes Thursday morning. The estimate, $4,200 installed. Not negotiable. The unit is a duplex. Code requires a specific venting configuration. You do not have $4,200 in your maintenance reserve. You have $1,870. The rest comes from your personal savings. The buffer was not a suggestion. It was a structural requirement you underfunded from day one. You pay the $4,200. You raise the maintenance reserve contribution to $220 a month. You do not feel like an investor. You feel like a building superintendent who also has a day job. The word passive does not describe the first 2 years. The lesson is not that repairs happen. The lesson is that the repair does not wait for your reserve to be ready. The system does not coordinate with your timeline. It breaks when it breaks. And if you do not have the capital buffer, you become the buffer. Level 3. The first vacancy. Your tenant gives 30 days notice. Polite, clean, no damage. They found a place closer to work. You list the unit. You schedule showings. You paint the walls. You clean the floors until they shine. The first showing, no one comes. The second showing, a couple walks through, asks about parking, never calls back. The third showing, canceled. 21 days. The unit is empty. Freshly painted. Silent. Your phone buzzes. Mortgage auto debit, $976. Insurance, $118. Property tax, $196. The costs do not pause. You are bleeding $61 a day. Not because something broke. Not because you made a mistake. Because the system runs on a tenant. The building does not know it is empty. The mortgage does not either. Day 28. You lower the rent by $75. Day 34, a new tenant signs. You lost $21.35 in vacancy costs, plus the paint, plus the listing photos, plus the hours. Vacancy is not a risk factor you read about in a book. It is a daily bleed with no drama, no warning, and no ceiling. The building looks fine from the outside. The arithmetic inside is running a quiet deficit that compounds every morning you wake up without a signed lease. Level 4. The second property. You sit across from a loan officer at the credit union. You want to buy a second duplex. You have the down payment. You have the credit score. You have 18 months of rental income history. She looks at your file. She asks a question you did not expect. Show me the system. Not the property. Not the numbers. The system. How do you screen tenants? What is your maintenance protocol? Who do you call at midnight when a pipe bursts? What happens if you are traveling and both units need attention on the same day? The second property's real barrier is not the down payment. It is whether the first property runs on documented, repeatable processes. You leave the credit union without a loan. You leave with something more expensive. The knowledge that the barrier to your second property was never capital. It was never the down payment, the interest rate, or the debt-to-income ratio. The barrier was that your first property is not a system. It is a series of reactions that happen to work because you are always available. That is not scalable. That is not even sustainable. That is one bad week away from collapse. Level 5. The system. You spend 3 months building what you should have built before you bought the first property. A tenant screening checklist with specific criteria. Credit score floor. Income to rent ratio. Reference verification steps. A maintenance decision tree. What gets a same-day call? What gets a 48-hour window? What gets scheduled for next month? A vetted contractor list. Plumber, electrician, HVAC, general handyman. Response time agreements and pricing on file. You document the lease renewal process. You document the turnover process. You document the vacancy marketing sequence. You put it in a binder. Then you put it in a shared drive. You hire a property management company. They take 8% of collected rent. You do the math. On your current unit, that is $102 a month. You are paying $102 a month to not be the person who answers the phone at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. For the first time, the property operates for 6 weeks without a single call to you. No emergency. No decision. No involvement. The rent arrives. The maintenance ticket gets filed, assigned, resolved. You see it in the software dashboard. You do not touch it. This is the shift. Not owning more. Operating less. The system is not the property. The system is the business. You go back to the credit union. Level 6. The stress test. You are 34 years old. You own 4 units across 2 duplexes. Your portfolio generates $1,840 a month in net cash flow after all expenses, reserves, and management fees. On paper, this is working. Then the stress arrives. Not one thing. Everything. Interest rates rise. Your adjustable rate line of credit jumps 1.7 points. 1 unit goes vacant. The tenant broke the lease early, and the penalty does not cover the gap. The HVAC in the second duplex fails. Estimate, $6,800. Your property management company flags a maintenance backlog on the original building. 3 items. Total, $2,400. Everything at once. The system you built is now being tested. Not by one problem, by all of them simultaneously. In 1 month, your portfolio goes from 1840 positive to 3200 negative. You sit at the same kitchen table where you built your first spreadsheet 7 years ago. Same mug, same evening light. Different person. You do not panic. You open the dashboard. You look at the reserves. You built a 6-month operating buffer across the portfolio. 14,200 in dedicated reserves. The HVAC gets approved. The maintenance backlog gets scheduled. The vacant unit gets listed with the management company's turnover protocol, the one you documented 2 years ago. You do not drive 40 minutes at midnight. You do not negotiate with a plumber in your sweatpants. You do not lower the rent in a panic after 2 weeks. The system absorbs the stress. Not because nothing went wrong, because the system was built to survive the month when everything goes wrong at once. This is what portfolio-level real estate investing actually looks like. Not passive, not effortless, not a beach and a mailbox full of checks. It looks like a stress test that your system either passes or fails. And the system only passes if you built it before the stress arrived. The door. You have not visited the original duplex in 3 months. You drive past it on a Sunday. The lawn is mowed. The porch light works. A tenant's bicycle is locked to the railing. Your phone shows a notification from the property management app. Rent collected. Maintenance ticket resolved. No action required. The door is the same door you walked through at 27 with a set of keys and no idea what you were doing. The paint is different now. The tenant is different. The owner is different. Not because you bought more doors, because you built a system behind the first one. Then you repeated the system. Then you stress tested it. Then you let it run. The building does not need you. It has not needed you for a long time. That is not the failure of ownership. That is the entire point. Somewhere in this city right now, there is a 27-year-old walking through an open house on a Saturday afternoon. They are touching the countertop. They are imagining their life here. They have not yet asked the question that changes everything. But they will.